Alright, so ain't much new on the CA other than if you go back and watch my 7-part video of me doing the oil change on it and the tearing this side apart for the brake, you'll notice that I don't think I mentioned it before in any other videos, but whenever my grandfather redid the brake for this, he never put the return spring in that will spring the brake back to the position it's supposed to be in. So the brake was on. He never adjusted it. I think only adjusted it partially. So if you got driving it around a lot in fourth gear, the brake would stick on. And you could start to smell it, and you could feel it you could feel it driving, that it was hanging up. And especially like before I put the 12-volt battery in it, I would have to roll it out of this garage down the driveway to start it, to push start it. And you could feel it when you're trying to pull it out of this garage, that brake was hanging up and making it harder to push. So I didn't get it on video yesterday, but I jacked this side up enough, and then would take this handy dandy flathead screwdriver. I would spin the wheel, adjust the brake out a little bit, adjust it out till I felt it was, spinning fairly free. And of course I went through and did this side, which this side was fine. I did just a little bit. I just turned it back just a whisker bit. But I got it so this wheel would spin free, and sitting up on the jack, I could spin the wheel and hit the brake pedal and the wheel would stop. Well, that was okay and everything. So I thought, all right. So I started driving around. Well, first thing I did is I pulled it out of the garage, pushed the clutch in, going down a little bit of a hill in the driveway, pushed the brake, pushed the clutch in, pushed the brake on. The tractor didn't stop. So I got the flathead screwdriver, and as I drove around, I'd adjust it back tight rather than doing it by how the book said, which the book really didn't tell me how to do it. It just said, do it this way. So I adjusted it back up to the point where I could put the brake pedal on, turn the wheel, and the tractor would spin around like it's supposed to when you put the brake pedal on, or when you could actually stop with it. Whether that brought it back up to where it was or not, I don't know. But I really hope it didn't, but it probably did. So I also figured I'd do a video kind of explaining why I'm gonna switch the CA to narrow front rather than just fix the wide front. Because a lot of the Alice Chalmers groups I'm part of on Facebook, they tell me I'm stupid and I'm gonna probably kill myself, with the narrow front. Well, the thing is, if I do, I do. If I don't, I don't. But everyone says don't do it. You'll roll it over on steep ground, and driving in and out of ditches, going crossway in and out of ditches to enter fields. It's like when someone commented on that and said that, it's like, what kind of fucking ditches are you driving through with a narrow front tractor, or a tractor in general, that's making it roll over? Because we don't do that around here. No farmer does that around here. They mostly have an entrance and exit to a field, and most people do have entrances and exits to fields, last time I checked. And if they do cross in a ditch, they don't go through the deepest part of the ditch. They try to find a good spot. But anyways, that just kind of made me laugh one of the days. And also, narrow fronts turn a lot easier, and believe me, the biggest reasons I like them is you can pack more in a building. You can stack more in a building, narrow front tractors. And you can, considering the way my John Deere and WC are packed in my dad's barn, that just is so much handier, having narrow fronts for that. And then, backing up hay wagons, they're the best tractors for that. they're the best. They're really great tractors. I don't know why people dislike them, and they think they're unstable. It's not, and everyone always says it's the narrow front, and that's the problem why it rolls over. When in general, when you see a loader tractor with a narrow front on its side, it's never really the narrow front's fault. It's usually the operator's fault, because they think that, oh, it's never rolled over before, so it's not gonna ever roll over, and then they pick the loader way up in the air, which you should never do, period, with any type of loader tractor at all. You should never pick the loader up super, super high on uneven ground at all and expect the tractor to stay up. I mean, wide fronts might be a little stabler, but they're not. Everyone says, oh, wide fronts are stabler. I'm switching my narrow front tractor to wide front with a loader on it. The wide front don't help, because the wide front, the pivot in the front end, so the front end can oscillate. When that tractor, if you get that loader in the air so high and you get on uneven ground, if that tractor, because once it gets to a certain point in the front pivot, once you get past that center of gravity, the tractor's going over. You would have to have the front end slid all the way out, the rear tires out just as far as they'd go to get any good ground clearance. If you just throw a loader on a tractor and don't set it wide or don't do anything to it, you're still going to roll the tractor over if you stick the loader way up in the air with something heavy in the bucket or on the forks and go over uneven ground. When you don't know the consequences, you have a tendency to do things that will get you in those situations more often. Because, like for instance, that Alice B of my dad's, it's got a load. There's a loader you can put on it. My brother's rolled that over because he put a big rock in the bucket, picked the loader way up in the air, and mind you, the rock, he was on a hill, on a little. I mean, it wasn't a very steep slope. It was, you knew, you could tell that the tractor was sitting this way a little bit, but not enough. The big rock was on the downhill side of. He picked the loader way up in the air, and mind you, that tractor's wide front, and it went over. I mean, you can't sit there and say that a wide front's going to help you on uneven ground. It doesn't when you have idiots that put the loader way in the air with a round bale or something on the front of it, and they think they can drive across side hills, and they think those are the kind of people that you don't want to trust with stuff that do that, because that's just asking for it. Now, there's going to probably be people that disagree with me on that, but that's just what I've learned from experience. Driving around in the air with the bucket up is just asking for it. No matter what, you're on a narrow front, wide front, front wheel assist tractor, two-wheel drive tractor, narrow front tractor, doesn't matter. That's just from my experience. I have seen it's never the tractor's fault. It's usually the operator's fault. And everyone says it's a common sense thing, because someone said something about me. I said something, well, I got the common sense to not drive a narrow front loader tractor on a steep side hill, the loader, all the way up. And someone said to me, well, I thought I had that confidence once too, the common sense once too, till I rolled the tractor over. It's like, well, you obviously didn't, but I might not be, an old and wise, but I'm young and smart enough to know better. Like the song lyric goes, I'm old enough to know better, but still too young to care. But I prefer narrow fronts. I think they're so much better, and everyone says that they're so much more unstable. Again, I don't think it's the tractor's fault. I think it's the operator's fault, because they're doing stuff for the tractor, because they get in the mindset, oh, I've done this 100 times before with the tractor. It's not going to happen to me this time, and then it happens, and then they blame it on the tractor like it's the tractor's fault, when it should be, it's the owner's fault, because for the longest time, there's always been a thing. You take your tractors on certain hillsides. Like around here, most farmers, a lot of them do farm hillsides. But a lot of the hillsides, farmers put to pasture because they know better than try to put haying equipment out there, and especially in this day and age with so many people, so many idiots that work for farms and think they know what they're doing, and they're big hotshot operators when they've never stepped foot on a piece of equipment in their life. Those are the kind of idiots that work on most farms around here, and they eventually do learn something. But to keep them from, breaking the tractor and all that, most farmers have kind of stopped, farming hills, really steep hillsides, and mostly put it to pasture. And if they do any bush hogging or anything in the field, they mostly put the more experienced guys out there that know what they're doing rather than the idiots. But still, I mean, it's just me. Narrow fronts are the way to go, in my opinion. They're so much better for a lot of things. But yeah, and then there's supposed to be an auction in, I think, April 24th, so it'll be next week, and then, yeah, so 2 weeks out. So hopefully they have what I'm looking for there, which, if they do have close to what I'm looking for, because I'm looking for a set of drag harrows, or a drag disc, I should say, not a drag harrow, a drag disc, because I'm going to take and turn it in, I'm going to modify them and turn them into a snap coupler set to go behind the D17, the D15, and the D14. And then the, hopefully going to look at maybe, hopefully they have other stuff they want, whether it's a hopefully they have some other stuff there, because I'm kind of going with plan B right now till I hear any more back from the other guy. But so in order to deal with plan B right now, I got the things I need right now. Is I got a corn planter, so I got that. And considering this farm is only, the plan B farm is roughly 2 miles to 2.5 miles from my dad's house, and considering he doesn't use his hay mower, the hay rake, or the tedder, or the baler much through the summer, I'll probably just use that stuff, just so they get a little more, hours and field time on them than what he normally puts on them a year. And that's kind of the same with his rotobaler. That doesn't get used much this summer, so I hope I can use his Alice rotobaler this summer. I'd like to put up a few hundred bales with that, which that's going to be interesting to do, considering that's a lot of stopping and going in thick hay, but I'll be fine. I really want to put some hours on that, so I'm going to hopefully run that this summer, do that. But basically the things I'm going for this auction is really, I'm looking for a set of drag harrows, drag discs I can turn into a set of snap coupler harrows. And I'd really like to find a set of transport discs, but I don't think I'll find a set that are, I haven't really found a set that's, I really don't need I just would like to find like an 8-foot set or a 9-foot set, or I don't really need because the D15 can handle a 13-foot set, or oh no, no, not a 13-foot set. The D17 can handle, so I really want to find like a 8-foot set at most, maybe a 9-foot set, if I could find a set of transport discs, so I could use them behind the John Deere B or the D14 or the D15. And then I got the corn planter. I just need something to chop the corn and something to haul it, which I actually know where I can get a silage wagon. I just know that silage wagon probably isn't worth pulling out of the weeds, considering it's been sitting up there to my grandmother's house since, well, my grandfather bought it way back when he was milking cows, and that was the only silage wagon he took home from the farm when he sold out. Kept the other one with the people that bought it. He took that one, and that's been sitting up there under a pine tree since I can remember, and since they moved up home. So been there a while. So I mean, if I needed a silage wagon, I could use that one. But so that, and then I'd like to find a half decent round baler, and if I go to the auction, if they have a round baler there, it's not gonna be one I want or one I need. They're not. It's not gonna be one I want, because I want one that can do wet bales. And then I need to find a bale wrapper, single bale wrapper, and which I already know of. If I can't find a wrapper, I'll just use my cousin's, because I already know that works pretty good behind my John Deere B. And then I know if I need to find round baler, which I've had a couple come up, like a New Holland 848 chain baler, which I've been told it could do wet bales. I don't know if I'd want to try it though, and then a couple other round balers come up, but they weren't really wet bale. They couldn't do wet hay, considering it was an old Ford round baler, and the other one was a old, I think, Vermeer. I can't remember what model Vermeer it was, but I know they wouldn't have been able to do wet bales, and I need to find a better shit spreader, because if I go with Plan B, or well, I know I'm going with Plan B as of right now, so that will basically mean I need to find a better shit spreader, because the shit spreader I could run right now, which is my dad's New Idea 12A ground dry shit spreader, that would work if I was in 1940 something. And you know, but because with all the figuring I have done, all the math wise, if it was gonna be just me for the rest of my life, 30 to 40 cows would be just about right for me to live fairly comfortably for most of my life. If I brought a family into the equation, I would have to be, I think it was 80 or more. I think it was, if I wanted to live comfortably with, if I wanted to have a family and live comfortably, break even and just about get by with just enough, it would be 80 or more cows, which the farm that I plan on renting can barely probably handle 30, but I figure the way I'm kind of going at it is if I rent this farm, the only thing that's holding me up is that there's not land right on the farm, because it was sold to the big dairy that now sold out and sold to another guy. So unless I could work out a deal to get that field that was sold to slowly turn that back into pasture, if I could rent it out, buy it, whatever, then yeah, I'd be all set. But right now, what I figured is the place that I know I can 100% go with and would take the least amount of effort to get back up on its feet. The pasture is 15 acres. And in order to kind of run 30 head of cattle on it comfortably, I can do it. If I go, of course, non-organic, which I don't plan on going organic for as long as I'm alive, I'll just need a flail chopper and green feed you know, beginning, I'll just need a green feed. Not every day, but probably close to, I'll probably need to do it almost probably every 2 days or less than that. But I mean, everyone tells me I shouldn't do it, but at the same time, there's farms that I know of a couple farms in the area that have no pasture at all, and that's all they do most of the summer is they just kind of green feed all summer long, and they don't have a problem. And I mean, yeah, I'm going against everything I wanted to go against, but at the same time, you know, I'll take what I can get, and you know, and I could, you know, and I could be at this rented farm for a year or the rest of my life. So I'm kind of because what I'm thinking about doing but yeah, that's just what I'm thinking about doing right now. But that won't be too bad to go that route, because a lot of people think I don't know what I'm doing, but I know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of coming at it, and when I tell people about it, I sound like I don't know what I'm doing, but I know how I'm going at it. I'm not coming at it completely blind. I'm coming at it not blind at all, really. Just, I know what I got to do, and I know what I need to do. Just people seem to think I don't know what I'm doing. Because, you know, apparently in this day and age, if you ask a couple questions, people lose their shit and think you're retarded and think you shouldn't be doing anything. But I was always told to ask questions, even if you already know the answer to the question you're asking. But I already kind of know, but like I said, I know what I got to do, and I already got the plan all figured out. Just in order to make more sense, I have to write it out. I got it. But like I said, if I want to live the rest of my life, just me, with no extra people attached, 30 to 40 cows would make me live comfortably. 50 to 60, I could make a little bit of profit. And if I want to add family into that, right around 80 or more to live comfortably. And obviously, if I wanted to make a lot of money doing it, I'd have to get way big. And I don't want to get that big, because that's just stupid. Because when you got to start hiring in the illegal immigrant, you know, the illegals, to do most of your work so you can, you know, be able to spend time with people and not lose your mind, that's when it starts getting fucking crazy. And that's when it's like, all right, where the fuck did you go wrong to need to get that big that fast? Because a lot of people told me just go big and get it over with, and a lot of people tell me you can't make a living being a small farm, which you can make a living being a small farm. You just got to find other ways to make the money. Because, yeah, it's not that hard. Believe me. You can do it. It's been done before, and it can be done. It's just other people seem to think that, you know, if they fail, you have to fail. And if they succeed, you can't succeed, and it's just not worth your time. Because that's why I kind of just don't like people. That's kind of why I gave up on asking questions on any Facebook groups I'm in. Just because, you know, I already know if I'm asking a question, sometimes it's because I don't know. And other times, if I ask a question, I already know the answer to it. I already know what I'm going to do. I already know how I'm going to do it. I just want to see if other people have done it a different way. And then people jump down my throat like, I don't know what I'm doing and I should just give up and not do it. It's like, well, I'm quite bullheaded, so. But yeah, so hopefully at this auction, which this is not an equipment auction. It's barely an auction because they're such. It's just it's more of a. They call it a spring consignment auction, but it's really just a spring. Hey, clean out your garage and bring it here. We'll sell it for you. Auction, and there's very little equipment that shows up. There might be one or two pieces of equipment, but by the time they go to that auction, they've been pulled off. They've most likely been sitting since Christ was a cowboy, and been sitting in the fence row since then, and they might have threw a coat of paint on it to get it to the auction so they can bring a little more money, and made sure it spun over or whatever, just so you can get that little that extra $1,000 out of some idiot that doesn't know what he's doing. But sometimes you can find a dime. You can find the needle in the haystack, but most of the time it's junk, and most of the time there ain't much. I know one year that me and my dad went, which was been 2 years ago now, 3 years ago, something like that, 2 or 3 years ago. There was actually some good stuff there. I just didn't have, I was still in school at that time and didn't really have a whole lot of money to buy the stuff that was there, because there was a pretty nice round baler there, and a pretty nice Oliver tractor. Really wish I could have bought, but again, by the time that bid probably ended, I wouldn't have had the money to pay for it. But that also kind of brings up another point. I'm also kind of, I'm always looking on, Craigslist, Marketplace, or a little book that I don't know. It's called Uncle Henry's. I don't know. I think it's a Maine-based company mostly, but it goes to Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Vermont. Or I know it goes. I don't know how, but I think it's also sold in parts of Canada. I'm not sure. But anyways, I've kind of been looking through there and looking on Craigslist and looking on Marketplace for a bigger tractor, and I'm really I want to find looking in the 80 to 90 horse range. Usually, I'm looking in, the 80 to 90 horse range. I'm looking looking towards an Oliver, between an Oliver 1755 and 1855, looking in that general kind of range. Then I'm also kind of looking in the Alice Chalmers range of between a 180 and a 200. I'm kind of looking in that general range, and not really looking at any red tractors because don't really want one. And as far as I'm concerned, the only red tractor I'd ever want is a 756 diesel with the German 310 and a narrow front. But that's really kind of the only international I'd ever look at, and anything that's not a 86 series or the only red tractors I'd ever look at is the 88 series, the 66, well, not even really the 88 series, but more or less the 66 series, the 56s, the 06 series, and anything below that. I could care less about the 86s, 86 series, and I mean the 88 series, I wouldn't mind owning a 36 88 or a 32 88, but I'm not really a fan of the 88 series. I really like the 66 series because there's something about a 1066 black stripe dualed up in an open station that just looks right. And then anything below. But like I said, the only really red tractors I'd ever go for is a 756 with the German 310 or or I might go for a 856, maybe. Yeah. And the only other tractors I'd go for is like a 560 diesel at most, or a 450 diesel, or an MD, but really nothing else. I could care less about the red tractors. Now when I was younger, that would have been a different story, because when I was younger, I really wanted an M. I was really right into the Farmall tractors, and that's all I ever wanted. And then I got my John Deere, and then that's all I ever wanted was 2-cylinder John Deeres. And then now I'm back on an orange kick, so let's see how long this lasts. And then like Ford, and then the only other category is tractors I'm really is Ford. I mean, there's a couple Ford tractors I wouldn't mind. Like a dairy farm that I worked at had a pretty nice Ford 5600 that rebuilt my buddy slash boss he became a good friend of mine, even though he was supposed to be my boss. Me and him became good friends, and me and him are quite a bit age difference there. But he has his grandfather's 5600 that he took it to one of his buddies to rebuild, and the engine rebuild, he got it back, and the engine was stuck tighter, got seized right up when they was running it. So yeah, now I got and then he rebuilt it, and he turned it right up from a 70 horse tractor, I think a 5600 to sit at, and now it's 60 horse. Yeah, 5600 60 something horse factory, and he's got that thing sitting about 80 horse, I think 85, something like that. All I know is it was running that John Deere 630 Moco like nothing when they was using it, when their big John Deere tractor broke down. And then handled it pretty fucking good, and it was running their big 450M, or no, was it a 450M? Yeah, I think it was a 450M John Deere round bill, or it might have been a 460M John Deere round bill. It fucking handled those pretty goddamn good. But yeah, that's a 30-minute video. I'll either come back or something.